manager, executive chef, and the owner of a hotel. He has a lot of experience and knowledge with him. I hope today's session will be a fruitful one for you. On behalf of Naipunnya School of Management, I extend my welcome to you, sir.
Thank you.
And also I welcome Mr. Dominic Michael, the former faculty of our college. Dominic sir, are you there?
Yeah, sir, I'm here.
Okay, I extend my sincere thanks to you for bringing Mr.Jon for us today.
Thank you, thank you.
Do you want to say something, Mr. Dominic sir?
No, that's fine. Happy to see everyone.
Okay, thank you. Then the mic is for you. Mr. Jon, welcome. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Well, firstly, I just want to say thank you for having me today. I appreciate it. As the gentleman said, my name is Jon Corbett, and for the past 15 years, I've been living in the United Kingdom. And prior to that, I lived in the United States. I lived in both New York and Pennsylvania, where I did my my university degrees. And in my younger years, I lived in Thailand and Singapore. And then for my very younger years, I lived in New Delhi in India for 3 years as my father worked for the UN. I started my career accidentally, interestingly enough. I attended university planning on a degree in international relations, but I quickly realized that I actually didn't have as much money as some of the other students, so I needed to work to get my through getting my degree, and I did this by working in restaurants and hotels while studying. I got my first job washing dishes in the kitchen, and I quickly realized that I had a real passion for hospitality. So I went on for the next 8 years, sort of waiting tables and bartending in different restaurants, and I really enjoyed it. I went above and beyond at the Call of Duty to gain more tips, and really enjoyed it. Let me actually go to my presentation out in there. Yeah. That one? Yeah. Okay. So everybody can hear me now, yeah? Oh yeah. They can hear me now, yeah. Okay, great. Okay, so yeah, as I was saying, I worked in restaurants and as a waiter and a bartender. I had so many different tricks that I used to use. As I was an Englishman living in the US, I used to put on my British accent to get more tips, and that worked really well for the Americans. They loved it. The great thing about waiting tables is that you get to design the narrative. You write the story of a guest experience that becomes their memory for a lifetime. I can tell you now that waiting tables was one of the best jobs I ever had. I met so many people over the years waiting tables. I've served Bill Clinton, Steve Jobs, Robert De Niro. The list goes on. Some were lovely, some not so much, but all were great experiences. Anyway, I digress. Let me get back on topic. So after about 8 years of university, I finally finished my master's and realized that I had all this paperwork saying that I was a master of economics, but the only real experience I had was in food and beverage. And I had a fundamental passion for it. So I went out looking for a management job in hospitality. I started as a team leader in a restaurant in Erie, Pennsylvania, and then went on to a management job in New York City. And then from there on to an amazing career that has seen me manage hotels both in London and New York. And finally owned my own hotel in Cambridge in the United Kingdom. I've cried some, I've laughed more. I've been fired and hired, and I've hired and fired. I've worked with some of the world's best and some of the world's worst and learned from both of them. Sometimes it's best to learn what not to do. Remember that, because that's an important one. So today I'm going to give you a brief introduction to kitchen management, but I'm also going to speak to you about leadership It's something that's extremely important in the workplace and especially in the kitchen, and can really impact both your job satisfaction and your mental health. I really hope I don't bore you too much, and if you have any questions, we'll have a quick Q&A at the end where you can fire away. Okay, so let's start with team. So this will be the agenda, by the way, as I said before, and we'll start with team. Let's start. So this is the first slide I'm going to show is a rudimental diagram of a basic Western kitchen team. The reason I use this is that you'll find in many parts of the West these days, the classic French brigade diagram is a bit archaic, and a more straightforward approach is being taken with a basic head, SU, CDP, COMI layout being used more and more. This is done primarily for financial reasons. With the great leap forward in kitchen technology and more personnel costs, kitchens are getting smaller and smaller. As a kitchen staff member, this is so important as it immediately puts you in a closer working proximity to your head chef, which, trust me, does have positive and negative ramifications, as I'll get into in a little bit. But let's start with the head chef or executive chef depending on the kitchen. This is really the person that runs the kitchen. They are the one that sets the tone for the kitchen. It's their vision that has forged the way for the business. They are the ones that put themselves out when something goes right or if something goes wrong. And it's them and them alone. Hence, they can be slightly sensitive at times. I'm being diplomatic here because I am a head chef, of course. But they're the ones that design the menu. They will work with the owners and restaurant manager to create a working kitchen with the proper equipment and stock. They'll hire you and they'll give you your rota. They will teach you. They'll tell you when you're wrong, and they'll also pat you on the back when you were right. They'll be your mentor. In saying this, though, there will always be a divide between the head chef and the team. And this divide is filled by the sous chef. The sous chef, the sous is kind of the bridge between the bosses and the team. Excuse me about that phone, by the way. We'll try and keep that to a minimum. When the head is not there, the sous will step into his shoes. And most of the part, they'll do most of the bits that the head will do when they're not there, so to speak. But they can also support you on a daily basis. They usually run service and they will help train you in different sections. On a busy midweek night, you'll find them on the pass, expediting orders to CDPs or, chef de parties. Speaking of chef de parties, these are usually your section managers. They will run a section such as grill or sauce. They may have a commie or two helping them in this section, but these are the professional cooks and may or may not be on their way to becoming a sous chef or onto becoming a head if they like. But they've spent a fair few years working towards a comprehensive understanding of their section. They will be your direct manager when you first go into a kitchen for the first time. But the commie chef is the training chef. So you're no longer an apprentice, but you're yet a master. You still need a couple of years to properly understand certain sections. As a commie, you can still make mistakes. You're going to hear about it, but it's accepted. This is where you prove yourself, though. You'll be asked to do long hours and be almost superhuman at times. It's almost like Army boot camp, but the role is designed to make you tough and acclimatize you to working in a hectic commercial kitchen. Don't let it scare you. There are rewards to it, trust me. So that's your basic breakdown of a kitchen. Granted, all kitchens are different. Larger businesses such as hotels will have different sous chefs for different sections, such as room service or different. If you have multiple venues, multiple outlets in a venue, such as a bar, a couple different restaurants, you'll have a bigger operation. But that's a very basic understanding of a kitchen brigade in the West anyway. So let's talk about where the kitchen is as part of the business. Just before I do that, just to give you a few more ideas of the difference between the back of house and kitchen and the front of house. This is just a quick fire round where, what we do and what they do. So back of house, we design the product, we cost the product, we cook the product, we deliver the product. We manage the daily operations of the kitchen. We make sure the kitchen is clean and tidy. We meet all the legal obligations in the kitchen, but yeah, we take the praise and the critic for all the food. They design a menu layout. They create the environment the product is delivered in. They market the product. They pair the product with wine or other beverages. They manage the money received for the product. They deliver the product, and then they liaise with the guest whether there'll be praise or critique. But the kitchen as part of the whole business, what you'll find is that in most hospitality businesses, the kitchen is the beating heart of the organization. It's the most organic part of the business in the sense that it's the part that can make or break a business. It's the part that can change a guest experience completely and very quickly, both for good and bad. It's a real pressure area. If a guest checks into a hotel and the hotel is brand new and has all the bells and whistles, a beautiful reception, a grand entrance, flawless rooms, Olympic-sized pool, spa, the guests will be happy, no? Of course, but at 7:30, when the guest enters the restaurant, it's still make or break time. If they have a terrible meal, I don't know, the ravioli's not al dente, or the bechamel's too salty, or the chocolate cake is too rich. Whatever it may be, it will negate that beautiful reception, those flawless rooms. And let me tell you guys, the Olympic swimming pool will not exist if they have a bad meal. In fact, I know really basic hotels and restaurants that don't have any of the fancy decorations, and their food still comes on standard white plates as opposed to fine china, but their chef is special. And because their chef is special and the food they create is incredible, their restaurants are loved all around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a trade-off in this industry, and lots of owners do get it wrong. They invest in lavish receptions and Olympic-sized pools, etc., and they think that they can put anybody in the kitchen and the guests will continue to come back. This is not true. The way I see it is if you start with a great chef and work outward from there, you have far more chance of success. However, in saying all this, it does not mean that we take anything away from the rest of the hotel team. Every single person contributes to the overall experience of a guest. The doormen and the bellboys are the ones that recommend the restaurant, and the concierge takes the bookings. The restaurant manager creates the ambiance and prepares the wine, and the waiters and bartenders are the ones that have the flair to enchant the guests and keep them coming back by looking after their every need. The kitchen may be the heart, but there are many arteries and veins that come to and fro from that heart. Regarding delivering the product, from concept to placing it on the pass for a waiter to take out is a long and meticulous process. It all starts with an idea. An idea for a dish can come from anywhere. I tend to get many of mine while I'm on holiday. For example, I was hunting on a hunting trip once, and we were hunting deer. And I had this great idea for a venison haunch, but couldn't figure out exactly what to serve the venison with until I noticed there was a few 5-point bucks eating some red berries out in the forest. And I thought surely that would be a natural symbiotic relationship to serve the venison with a red berry compote. And so I created a dish using those two elements, and then managed to add some dauphinoise potatoes and some truffles. And from there, I made it into a natural forest assiette. So now I have my idea. Next, I have to source all my produce for that idea, which I always use accredited and respected distributors. You'll be able to find it cheaper somewhere, but you could compromise the integrity of the dish. And I find it's easier to go with a proven distributor every time. So now you've got your idea, and you've got your produce that you've found a good way of sourcing. Now you need to weigh out all your ingredients and divide by a wholesale price. This is a whole nother day's course right here. But just to give you a quick overview, you will then weigh out each part of your dish. So you get a wholesale price for each ingredient, and then you divide by whatever your gross profit is going to be. I tend to use 74% to achieve a working gross profit. And this will incorporate your overhead costs and your cost of sale. And once you have that, you can start creating a menu. Next, you need to think about presentation and cooking method. Always good to have others help you with this, as believe it or not, we don't always have the best ideas. Others might as well. Hold on, let me get to this. So yeah. So this is a great opportunity for the head chef to bring the entire team, the kitchen team, into the discussion and bounce things off your teammates in the kitchen. Try and utilize different cooking methods. Try different things. You know what I mean? Try the food and have fun with it. This was always my favorite part of working in the kitchen. Was this time where we turned the kitchen almost into a laboratory. And we're trying different things, mixing different ingredients together to see what we can get out of that. And that's where the creative part of a chef comes out. And everybody gets a say at this point. Finally, the taste test. So you've got your dish, you've got your idea, you've put it all together. Now you want to bring everybody in the hotel together. Your front of house team, your concierge, your bell people, the whole nine yards, everybody in the hotel, and get them to try it, get their feedback, discuss how you're going to market it, start talking about where you're going to market it, and how you're going to bring people in to try it. And that's really where it all starts. That's essentially where the ideas behind a menu begin. And it's not just one person. It might be one person's vision and one person's idea, but it's a collective of a whole hotel that make the menu happen, so to speak. And then there's leadership. I just want to talk about leadership for a little bit as well, because it's so important in the kitchen specifically. I mean, there are a million different things we can discuss today. We can break down, the importance of kitchen management, things like, your better food, your safer food, better business, in terms of food temperatures and, all the legal bits to it. But I think, for me, that's an entire course to take. So just to touch on something in a short period of time, I'd like to talk about a bit about leadership in terms of the kitchen. The reason for this is that through all my training and qualifications, nobody ever really prepared me for having a bad boss. And trust me, you will in this industry. Why? Because people can open a restaurant without any qualifications and think that because they can have a great dinner party, they can run a restaurant. And generally speaking, I've found in my career, that's not the way it really works. There are managers, head chefs, and owners that don't realize the importance of team. However, as I said before, team is very important. In fact, in this industry, two things matter: vision and team. To be great, you must have the vision of what to create, but you also need the team to deliver that vision. And to create a great team, you need certain characteristics within that team. And these are quite simple. You need a leader that the team trusts. They have to prove to them that they're willing to both work and deliver the goods. A leader that supports them when they struggle, corrects them when they're wrong, but praises them when they're right. A leader that sets out specific but achievable goals and recognizes the achievement when those goals are reached. A team that has self-awareness at team level. While teams consist of individuals, a cohesive team is in fact a standalone unified structure. There needs to be professionalism within a team and a clear understanding of what is and what is not acceptable in the workplace. Respect amongst all individuals within the team, and a collective passion to achieve and a love for what you do. The industry is not easy, but it is rewarding. In your career, you'll have good and bad bosses. And just because they're a bad boss, it does not mean you can't learn. It just might mean that you learn what not to do sometimes. Anyway, so that's essentially the majority of my presentation this morning. I just wanted to now see if anybody had any questions and see if we could discuss any particulars of what I've discussed today. I'm going to take it off the screen so I can see them. There we go. There you go.
Hi, Mr. Jon. Hi, I myself Akil Marawal. I am the assistant professor here. How are you today?
Very well.
Okay, I hope this is all for your presentation.
You're welcome.
So you would like to someone from our side to ask some questions, right? Regarding
if anybody has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Do you have any questions regarding the webinar? Would you like to talk to him? Would you like to ask him anything about your career, about the hotel, about the kitchen management? If you have any questions, you can kindly ask right now. Girls, do you have any questions? Ask something at least, right?
Okay.
Ask about the career in UK or about the class, about the academics in UK. You can ask about those things to Mr. Jon.
Oh, really? I know.
So Jon, I think they don't have any questions about the session that you have just taken.
They're not having
No questions? Okay, all right.
Would you like to add anything more?
No, I mean that was more of it. I was sort of hoping there'd be some questions, but that's all right. You know what I mean? I hope that I've sort of given you some insight into the hotel business in the UK anyway, or in the UK and the US.
Yeah, if you could please add some words about that as well, about the UK business of hotels and also about the academic.
Yeah. I mean, the great thing about the industry in the UK is that there's so much opportunity right now. You know, it's such a growing industry, and there's huge opportunity for people, you know, coming from overseas to find placements in the UK. So, you know, please, if you get the opportunity, do try to come over to the UK. So it'd be a great experience for you.
Okay, Mr. Jon, I think we can wind up with our webinar for today.
Okay, great.
All right. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to Mr. Jon for presenting the webinar. It's our honor to have you here. You know,
no problem. Thank you so much for having me.
Small hotel management institution like Naipunnya, I extend my sincere gratitude and thanks to Mr. Jon and Mr. Dominic as well for giving us a chance to showcase your talents and your experience and your knowledge to our dear students. Okay, on behalf of the students at the Naipunnya School of Management, I thank you again and again. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Take care. Have a lovely day.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, students, you can go back to your class.